In every marriage, there are things you talk about, dreams, vacations, goals, and then there are things you don't always talk about. Like who took out the trash or who loaded the dishwasher last night. And yet, those quiet, unspoken things often tell the real story of whether two people are truly living together, or just living side by side. This is a story about Emma and Louis, a young couple whose marriage was slowly unraveling. Not because of betrayal or money or even communication, but because one of them was slowly breaking down under the weight of doing everything alone. And the other didn't even realize it. Let's begin. Part 1. I feel like his wife and his housekeeper. Emma is 22 years old. She works full-time at a marketing agency in Brighton, a charming city by the sea in the south of England. She's the kind of woman who remembers people's birthdays, takes extra shifts when someone's sick, and still finds time to water the balcony plants she calls her tiny jungle. Her husband, Louis, is 25. He's a freelance graphic designer who works from home. He's funny, loves obscure sci-fi films, and has a soft spot for artisan coffee and expensive headphones. He calls himself a night thinker and often works until 2 a.m., waking up just before noon. They've been married for just over a year and a half. Their wedding was small, intimate, just close friends. A string quartet, and a wild, hilarious moment when Emma's veil flew into the ocean. They moved into a modest one-bedroom apartment a few blocks from Emma's office and began building what they hoped would be a shared life of equals. In the early months, things felt light. They joked about Emma's obsession with scented candles and Louis's resistance to putting things in the actual laundry basket. When the dishes piled up or the bathroom needed cleaning, Emma would often just handle it. It's fine, she told herself. He's working on a project. He'll help next time. But next time didn't come. Little by little, the weight of everything fell on Emma. She'd wake up early, make breakfast, get ready, head to work, come home, and then start her second shift. She cooked, she cleaned, she did the shopping, she booked appointments, she reminded Louis about bills. She did laundry, made the bed, and wiped the table crumbs every single day. Louis, meanwhile, would shrug and say, I didn't notice. It's not that bad, is it? At first, she dropped hints. Could you maybe clean up after lunch? Can you do the dishes tonight? Louis always promised he would. Sometimes he meant to, but more often than not, things were left undone. The real shift came on a Thursday. Emma had been managing a huge client pitch at work. She hadn't slept well in days. That evening, she dragged herself through the door, dropped her bag, and immediately noticed the apartment was a mess. Crumbs on the counter, laundry still in the basket, bathroom towels on the floor. And Louis? He was playing online games with friends, laughing through his headset. Something inside her shattered. She walked straight into the bathroom, shut the door, and cried. Not because of the crumbs, not because of the towels, but because she felt invisible. Because she realized that in this marriage that was supposed to be a partnership, she was holding up the entire household on her own. Later that night, she didn't argue, she didn't yell, she just said it quietly, I don't think I can keep doing this. Louis was stunned. I didn't know you were this upset. He said, I thought things were fine. That, in itself, hurt more. How could he not see how exhausted she was? How did he not realize she hadn't sat down in 3 hours while he relaxed in front of a screen? Over the next few weeks, their home grew quieter. Emma spoke less. She moved more slowly. Louis noticed the shift, but didn't know how to bridge the gap. Eventually, Emma suggested they see someone. I don't want to grow bitter, she told him, but I'm starting to. And that's how they found themselves in my office, 2 young adults. Still in love, but on the edge of emotional distance they didn't know how to cross. Part 2. Rewriting the chore story, turning resentment into respect. When Emma and Louis walked into therapy, they were polite. Emma was calm. but tired. Louis looked guilty but confused. He truly didn't see himself as lazy. He didn't understand how his inaction had built up into something this painful. "I thought helping out once in a while was enough," he said. "I didn't know she felt like she was doing it all." That's when I introduced them to the idea of emotional labor, the invisible mental work that goes into keeping a home running. It's not just about the physical act of washing dishes. It's about noticing the dishes need washing in the first place. It's remembering to restock toilet paper, keeping track of appointments, managing birthdays, answering emails to the landlord. All the things that quietly live in someone's head, and, in their case, that someone was Emma. We started with a simple tool, a shared responsibility audit. I asked them to make a list, together, of every single task that goes into managing their home. From vacuuming to paying the Wi-Fi bill. We broke it down into daily, weekly, and monthly chores. Then, next to each task, we added a column. Who usually does this? Emma filled in most of the slots with her own name. Louis looked at the sheet and said softly, "Wow, I had no idea." That moment, when the invisible became visible, was a turning point. From there, we moved into creating a chore partnership plan. Each Sunday evening, they began having a 20-minute planning session. They'd sit down together with tea and a printed version of their task sheet. They'd divide tasks fairly based on availability, energy, and preferences. Some chores became his, some hers, and many were shared. If Emma had a tough week coming up at work, Louis would take the lead on meals. If Louis had a big client deadline, Emma would handle errands. It became a negotiation based on respect, not assumptions. But we didn't stop there. I also encouraged them to create a "no one helps" language rule, a shift in the way they talked about chores. Instead of saying, "Can you help me with dinner?" Emma would say, "Can you make dinner tonight?" This subtle change helped Louis understand that housework was not her job he was helping with. It was their shared responsibility. Another tool we introduced was the daily check-in ritual. Each night before bed, instead of scrolling on their phones, they'd spend 5 minutes asking each other 2 questions. What went well today in our partnership? What do you need more help with tomorrow? This built a rhythm of appreciation and openness, preventing small frustrations from growing into resentment. The results? Gradual but powerful. After 4 weeks, Emma reported that she was sleeping better. She felt lighter. She even laughed one night when Louis accidentally used floor cleaner on the countertop. At least he tried. She smiled. Louis began taking pride in small tasks. He found that folding laundry while listening to a podcast became part of his day. He said, "It's weird, but I feel more connected to her now. Like we're building something together." More than that, their emotional intimacy deepened. With the resentment lifted, they had more space for fun. For kisses over coffee. For lazy Sundays that didn't start with Emma picking up after both of them. Final reflections as a therapist. What Emma and Louis faced is far from unique. Across many marriages, especially among young couples, household labor is still unevenly distributed. And often, it's not malicious. It's simply unspoken, assumed, inherited from the models we grew up with. But love alone doesn't make a marriage thrive. Fairness does. Mutual respect does. Shared effort does. When one person carries the mental and physical burden of a home, even with a smile, it will wear them down. And over time, the message becomes loud and painful: your time doesn't matter as much as mine. Emma and Louis were brave enough to name it. And because of that, they've begun rebuilding not just their schedule, but their sense of partnership. If you're listening and recognizing yourself in this story, here's where to start. Make the invisible visible. List it all. Create a weekly check-in. Make it a ritual. Reframe your language. Don't, help, share. And most importantly, see your partner's exhaustion not as a complaint, but as a call for connection. Marriage isn't 50-50 every day. Some days it's 80/20ths. Some days it's 100/0. But over time, it should feel like you're on the same team, showing up for each other. Not just in love, but in the dishes, the laundry, the everyday work of being human together. Emma and Louis are still learning. But now, they're learning side by side. And that, more than anything, is what partnership is all about. If you found this video meaningful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. If you're facing unresolved challenges in your own marriage, we invite you to share your story in the comments below. We read every message, and we hope our words of encouragement will give you the strength to keep going. Even on the hardest days, we're here with you, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.